Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a last chance wave pattern long here on the NASDAQ. Now, it's setting up really nicely, but the way that this day has been, we don't want to push it too far. I'm not going to be looking for a massive runner just because that's not the type of day we've got. I mean, we've been going up and down and mostly rotational, and you'll notice none of these moves have really come with a huge runner. So because of that, instead of going all in at 93.75 and looking for a huge runner target, I'm going to be looking at 39.75, actually 39.50, and we're just going to stack the two orders there. That way, it's a little bit more conservative. There's not the necessity of having the market go, a million ticks to the upside. It just puts us in a better position. So the reason I like this last chance down here is we've bounced off of this level so many times before. At this point, it's a quadruple bottom where we came down here and we failed. This is the first time we failed. We came back again and we failed again. When they came back for a retest, they failed again. And now we're coming back again into our trigger zone this time and we're failing again. So it's the anticipation is to see this type of move that we had back here. And that type of move puts us right around 89.5. And that's kind of the area that we're looking. So we're long right now, 4 contracts, 43.79 3/4. And that's kind of the area that we're looking for prices to hold. Really don't expect it to get below 43.76 3/4. But, if it does make a dive down there and it does want to continue lower, our stop is down there at 77.25 just to be safe. So once we get this move going here, our first target's going to come off at 86 even, and that's going to be 6.25 points. And the next one above that, if we can get that one filled, is going to be up here at 89.5, and that's 9.75 points. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the way that the NASDAQ trades, it trades very similar, actually the exact same way, aside from the price per tick, as the S&P 500. It trades in quarters. So when you see something that's 1 point, as an example, that's 4 ticks. So in this case, we have 6.25 points. Well, if we take that as, there's 4 ticks in 1 point, that's 25 ticks. So 25 ticks to the first target, and then the next target at 9.75, again, 9.75, those are in points, 4 ticks to a point, that means that that's 39 ticks. So that makes it a little bit easier. Now, the NASDAQ does tick in cheaper cost. It means every tick is $5 instead of $12.50 like the S&P. So it is a nice smaller market, so you don't have to put as much risk on, but you can still make some seriously big money just on some gorgeous setups. So just like the one we're looking at right now, it looks picture perfect. Absolutely perfect last chance wave long right out of the trigger zone. Perfect reversal candle right out of there. Everything's looking perfect. So in this sense, if we get all of these targets filled, we are taking 2 off at the first and 2 off at the second. So that means that it's going to be 128 ticks in total. Each one's $5. So that's $640 on the trade. So you see, you don't actually have to trade a huge amount or even a big cost per tick to make a good chunk of money. $640 is nothing to shake a stick at. That's a really nice return on a relatively quote-unquote small market. So right now, just kind of waiting for a little bit of a push higher here. We might get it right now. Coming close. See if they have what it takes to push through here. But really, this is looking better and better. Every single candle that shows up here is making this look nicer. We had that initial rejection out of the trigger zone, picture perfect rejection out of the trigger zone, and then it followed up with a retest of that exact level, our exact entry level. So it's just adding more and more emphasis to this being the picture perfect reversal spot for this to go back up again. Now, zooming out a little bit here, if we zoom a decent ways out, you can see we are quite bearish, right? As soon as we opened up this morning at 9:30, we dumped. We had a huge sell-off. Now, that big sell-off, that came shortly after the open, and we did get chopped up down here, and since then, we really can't make our way back down. We've been seeing the support all the way through the lows. And if we look at this, there is a possibility of a trend line coming right through here. It looks like it might be a little bit lower, but the fact that it's lining up with everything else, it adds so much to the trade. Right in the trigger zone, everything else, you've got a quadruple bottom that's holding down here. There's just so many levels of interest here that you can't not take it. It's just too good of a setup. So just looking at the trade here, we did come a little bit away from our first target here at 86, and it looks like it's pulling back a little bit. So we'll probably have to pause the video for a little bit just to wait for this thing to kind of, shake itself out. But looking for the first target at 86. Once we get that target met, stop will go to break even just like normal. And then we'll look for the next target up at 43.89.5. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if we can hit those targets. All right, got our target filled. There we go. Holy cow, getting a big push through that level. So got our target filled at 86. Select the stop to break even. And actually, because of the fluctuation that we saw right here, I don't want to give anything back. So I'm going to lock my stop in here at 83.75, just under that little fluctuation that happened before our target fill. It's just a little too choppy through here for my liking. I really don't want to see, even though this move happened very quickly, you can see there's a lot of chop back and forth here. So because of that, I'm going to lock my stop in at 83.75 just to be a little bit, I guess, more precautious, if you will. But overall, stop is in a perfect spot. We're locked into profit. Got our first target taken off. Even if it does come back and stop us out at our stop, we're still pulling out another 4 points on the move. So not going to be too upset by any means on that. So coming pretty close to our target, but we're not yet at that, one tick away kind of area. So still got a little bit of a ways to go. 43.89.5 is the next area that we're looking for to take our final target off of. So we'll be back in a little bit. Give this a little bit of time. There does seem to be a little bit of kind of whip fluctuation in here, so it might take a little bit longer than we hope. But overall, target 89.5. All right, big pop through that high there. Just a boatload of movement right through there. It was a very interesting little bit of price action, but we got our target filled, 43.89.5. Didn't really have to wait too long. It just looked like it wanted to fluctuate around there a little bit. But overall, beautiful movement. Can't ask for a much better setup than that. And overall, like we said, based on the way that this is kind of set up in terms of the price per tick and all that, we're looking at 128 ticks total on the trade, putting away $640. So beautiful move. That's going to be the trade. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.